Don't get drunk with your white friends. Can't do it. Can't fucking do it. They don't drink like niggas. Niggas, we are very consistent. If a nigga drink Hennessy, that's what the fuck that nigga drink. That's what he drink. Hennessy. You ain't gotta keep asking. That's what he drink on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, his birthday, Jesus' birthday, Hennessy. If they don't have Hennessy, he will take Remy as a backup. That's as far as it goes. White people don't care what they drink. All they care about is what they said when they was leaving the house. Tonight, we're getting fucked up.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tunji's podcast. I am your host, Tunji Taylor Lewis. Guys, before I get started, I haven't done these in a while. I haven't done one of these, thank you, introductory, one of these thank you introductions to a podcast in a while. Sometimes I just get so into the mode of creating and putting stuff out that I forget to, be thankful for you guys to tuning in and for listening and engaging with my podcast. The podcast that I put out earlier about not liking Will Smith's Gemini Man movie is getting a pretty good response. Reminding me of how grateful I am that you guys tune in and listen to what I got to say about entertainment and about life. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for engaging with me. Who did I got right now? I got Rayna_Woods joining me on my live. I also got Kiz Era Qatar 98 joining my live. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Today I want to talk about the problem with having an underdog mentality. And I say that, from experience, right? Like, I'm somebody who definitely has the mentality of being an underdog. Like, I'm very comfortable in situations where, the odds are stacked up against me, or there's a problem to be solved, or, there's some sort of issue or difficulty going on in the situation that I'm in. I'm very comfortable in that situation. And it's definitely served me well. It's definitely benefited me as far as like my work ethic. It's definitely benefited me as far as being a strategist, being just being analytical and just like trying to figure out my way around or like above or through problems. It's definitely made me more resilient. It's definitely given me thick skin for sure. But there is definitely a downside. There is definitely a downside to it. Sorry, I can't speak English right now. And the downside to having the underdog mentality is when things are actually going well, right? And I heard a quote one time that said, sometimes your mind creates problems that'll have something to do. That's definitely a struggle that I go through. It's like when there is no problem, when stuff is going well and I'm actually thriving, I'm actually, happy and doing well. It's almost as if I get, at first I get uncomfortable with that, right? I get uncomfortable because I'm so used to being in the mode of grinding and working hard and trying to beat the odds and all that stuff, so that when stuff starts to go well, or when I actually achieve the thing that I'm going for or working so hard for, it's almost like I've had many experiences in my life where I actually don't believe it. I don't believe in the legitimacy of it. Like when I achieve something, when I do some stuff well, where a bunch of things in a row are going well for me, I don't believe it. It's almost as if that I'm in the underdog mentality so much that I believe that I'm not worthy of having good things happen to me, and that's sort of a tough mindset to be in when things are going well, and that's definitely something that I'm trying to get myself out of. Definitely, I'm definitely learning to acknowledge that when I am in situations that I am the underdog. It's not because I'm not good enough. It's because, I'm in a situation where people, don't appreciate the value that I give into a certain situation. It could be that, the way I go about doing things is different from the way other people go about doing things. So they have no gauge for, how good of what I'm doing actually is. Or, take it away from workplace, put it in a social situation, people, I think we've all been in situations where, we feel like people don't like us or people don't want to hang out with us. But again, that's not a me issue. That's not a you issue. That's that's an issue to do with them. Like that's their own insecurities, being projected onto you. We've all, I'm sure a lot of us have complained about, the popular kids in high school. Hello to Brown_Will24. Thank you so much for joining my live. We've all complained about those types of people, because they always like look down on like people who aren't part of that clique, right? And then definitely when you look back on those times as an adult, you realize, okay, those kids were just like super super insecure, and they relied so heavily on their status in freaking high school, or how good looking they were, or how athletic they were. But if you take that all away, then they're just as like scared and insecure as all the rest of us, right? So yeah, man, it's and definitely living most of my life as being sort of like middle of the road, or not really noticed by a lot of people, or not really like respected by a whole lot of people. It definitely drove me to dream just super super big. And that's why like everything in life is not wasted at all. Like all the adversity you go through in life is setting you up for amazing things. And like that's definitely why I dream big. It's like I can, even the reason why I got into comedy was because I wasn't very good at socializing. Like people didn't want to socialize with me at school. And so I just straight up just noticed that, okay, the most popular kids in my class are the funny kids. So I got to learn how to be funny. And so I wasn't naturally funny. I wasn't, great at being funny in social situations. Kaylin, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 0. Good night to you as well. But I guess at that time I just figured, okay, if I want to be funny, I got to study comedy. And that's how I got into the Eddie Murphys, the Will Smiths, the what was I into at that time? Bill Cosby's, comedians. Just study comedians. Just study how to be funny, testing out jokes all the time. And I can remember like being in this weird zone where like I didn't care if my jokes didn't land. I was just gonna try them out because it was almost like this weird thing of like, look, nobody's like talking or hanging out with me, on a consistent basis anyways. So either I make myself look stupid, try to say these jokes and fail all the time, or, go to a life where, I'm basically a loner. So for me, there was no loss to it, right? There was nothing to lose. And, I remember like and I did this all through middle school, all through high school. I was kind of funny. I never really that funny, let's be real. Get to university, all of a sudden I'm the funniest dude, like in the improv show. I'm one of the most popular kids in university, and that was just sort of one of my first times dealing with not being the underdog. And that really really really, I can remember that really messing with my head and really stressing me out almost, because like now I just felt like all of a sudden there's these expectations that I had to live up to. And that's definitely something that I struggle with today. Is like I'm definitely so used to dealing with zero expectations and like exceeding people's very low expectations of me, that the moment I get the sense that anybody has expectations of me that are like high, I really, really struggle with that. I really struggle because, I was mostly in the mode of proving that I was good enough, and now that people think that I'm good enough, I almost have like the opposite reaction to it. It's just like, well, I start to doubt myself, right? I know I'm barely making any sense right now. I'm trying to like put these words together, like sometimes on these podcasts I verbal process. But what do we got here? Comment right here. Expectations make you frustrated because everyone expects you to be good or great. Exactly, 100%. And that's the bad side of the underdog mentality. But I feel like the solution to that problem is even still like the underdog mentality, which is like to remove yourself, to like free yourself of the expectations that people might have of you, and just create what you want to create, do what you want to do, live your life the way you want to live your life. And if people are analyzing it, people are looking at it, people expect certain things from you, and if you don't make it, if you don't live up to those expectations, then you know what, life goes on. Like, it really, really is all good. Like, you know, a lot of these things aren't as big as we make them out to be. So yeah, anyway, y'all, that's just my, you know, thought vomit for today. Hope that makes a little bit of sense. Thank y'all as usual for listening and watching. Peace out.